Destiny 2 has many special things about it that stand out. Its intricately and mechanically diverse raids and dungeons, the power fantasy of being a space cowboy, brute, or wizard, never ending and jaw dropping amount of lore. But this is a video game and therefore something that is played and experienced. I don't think Destiny 2 is the juggernaut that it is today without its loot, and in particular its exotic weapons. See, I really enjoy looter shooters, looter brawlers, whatever. I like the chase of good loot and the feel of it, but what so many get wrong in this genre is how they handle their rarest loot. Whether they name it exotics, mythics, or plain old legendaries, it has to feel distinct, remarkable, and provide an experience that no normal loot in the game provides outside of that. I often see the mistake of games making their exotic loot just a legendary with 10% headshot damage or giving it an environmental attack like fire, but still being that same gun at heart. This is where Destiny stands out, but it doesn't just do that, it goes above and beyond. Every single exotic isn't just different in its gameplay, it's made to feel a part of the Destiny universe in its own way. I made a video a while back on what makes Destiny 2 so special to me, and a big part of that I mentioned was the story of Thorn. I always struggled to stick with Destiny 2 in its early days, constantly bouncing on and off until the release of Forsaken. But it was a few seasons later, with the season of the Drifter, was when I really got in. Mainly because, yes, I'm indeed a Gambit shill. But that season was the return of the controversial at the time hand cannon Thorn. I was so interested in this weapon, not just because of its visual distinctiveness, but what the hype around it was coming back. So, I'm doing the multiple quests to unlock the hand cannon, and then all of a sudden it dawns on me. This weapon, it has its own story. Arguably a more in-depth story than some full-on AAA video games. The backstory of how Thorn came to be. It was a gun that was once named Rose that belonged to this hero. This hero fell to the darkness and became Dredge and Yor, and as he succumbed to the darkness, he began to kill innocents, consuming their light and therefore corrupting the gun to then take a new form in Thorn. That is the TLDR version of it. The popular content creator Bive has like a 1 hour video on this and another hand cannon story that is directly intertwined, the last word, just talking about the story and lore of these guns. Also to mention that it's a really cool hand cannon too. Its shots deal poison, and if that target dies, it creates remnants which, when absorbed by you, both refill your ammo for Thorn and increase the damage. That is insane. Now, that's Thorn. Imagine that, but for over 100 other exotic weapons in this game, all with their own stories, lore, perks, and use cases. Mind-blowing stuff. And that's just the weapons, by the way. There's still armor on top of that, which again, all the same things apply here. The sandbox potential, the lore as to what they are, and why they exist, and the visual distinctiveness of all of them. So, over 100 exotic weapons. Yes, of course there are weapons that have used prior models of legendaries, but I've never used an exotic and thought, what a crap copy and paste job. The fact that we're entering year 10 of this game, and they are still churning out exotics that feel fresh. Genuinely, it blows my mind. They are so talented and creative over at Bungie. To add on, what makes Destiny 2's exotics even more special is its use of exotic missions. These are one-off missions that often have some secret way to be unlocked, or you follow a quest line to eventually unlock the mission. These missions are some of the greatest content in Destiny 2. So much so that Bungie have now added an exotic mission rotator to the playlist, not just so people can unlock the exotic, but so they can actually replay and re-experience those exotic missions. What comes to mind for me is Whisper of the Worm exotic mission, Cade's Will for Ace of Spades, 0 Hour for Outbreak, and Of Queen and Worms for Parasite. Distinctly different visual missions that offer up puzzles, bosses, set pieces, lore, the full shebang of what you're looking for from a Destiny 2 mission. Last season, in Season of the Deep, they actually put an exotic mission inside a seasonal activity to get the Stasis Scout Rifle Wicked Implement. So, yeah, I can't think of any other game that treats their exotics this way. So much craft, so much care, so much diversity, and so much power fantasy from them. So, an exotic mission is pretty special, right? Surely you can't top a whole mission dedicated to just one gun, right? Wrong. You can. See, doing an exotic mission or quest guarantees you get that exotic, which is really fun. But how do you top that feeling? Well, there is one way. Raids and dungeons to me, as I've said many a time, are not just some of the best activities you can do in Destiny, but in video games as a whole. Now, imagine that each raid and dungeon has an ultimate prize that is done by chance. Well, it is. Each raid and dungeon in Destiny 2 has an exotic that is tied to it, the majority anyway. And let me tell you, these are prized possessions. The other week, I finally dropped Conditional Finality, which is a shotgun from the Root of Nightmares raid. This is one of the most distinctly visually designed shotguns in video games, period. And it's so fucking cool too. It has two pellets. The first is a stasis pellet that freezes the enemy. The second is a solar pellet that sets them alight. Combine the two together and it shatters and burns all enemies around. It is just so much fun to use, man. And it is so visually striking. And of course it's got its own lore. I'm so happy I finally got it, and all my raid gang are pretty jealous, aside from the one person that does have it. I don't have many of the dungeon and raid exotics since I rarely get time to raid with my crew, but I did pick up the exotic bow from Spire of the Watcher, which is a solar bow called Hierarchy of Needs, which, after a certain amount of precision hits or kills, allows you to fire this arrow, which creates like a guidance ring that if you shoot through it, releases seeking projectiles and does way more damage, and like that's just such a cool design to me. Of course, it has its own use case, but like that is really cool. Add on to this that, yeah, each exotic looks so visually fresh, but on top of that, there's ornaments to apply, which of course they debut for silver, which is the real world currency, but almost always become available for bright dust, which is the earnable in-game currency. And these ornaments, like, they often have like a seasonal theme, an enemy theme like the Hive or the Taken, or for an example like Quicksilver getting a locational theme from Neomuna. Further ways to have your exotic in the ornament that you want, making it stand out even further. There's one more component that defines just why exotics in Destiny 2 are so exquisite, and that is catalysts. Now, it has to be noted that not every single exotic in the game has a catalyst, but I'd argue that the majority do. These are again something that you can earn by playing a certain activity, maybe running the exotic mission at a high difficulty, or completing some more quest steps. A catalyst further buffs or even changes something about that exotic even further. So, let's take the Forerunner for example. This came with the 30th anniversary of Bungie pack. It's essentially the Halo Combat Evolved pistol in Destiny, and when you unlock the catalyst, if your super meter is full, you can consume that and it turns your grenade into an even more damaging frag grenade from Halo, which so unique, so fun, and adds just more personality to that exotic. Or another example being Osteostriga, having poison kills return ammo to the weapon, making it the SMG equivalent of Thorn. Again, just really great sandbox potential. So yeah, exotics come in all shapes and sizes, primaries, specials, heavies, from season passes to seasonal quests to exotic missions to raids and dungeons, but often an exotic always resembles a particular time in which you played Destiny 2. Like I say, Thorn during Season of the Drifter and beyond, Osteostriga post Witch Queen and its seasons, Forerunner and Galahorn during the 30th anniversary, and to be honest, I could just go on and on because there's so much. But if you ask me about a Destiny 2 season, I could tell you what exotics were my go-to for that season, because they define certain areas of Destiny for me. So how about we run through some of my favourite exotics to showcase the breadth and depth of how good these things are. It's only right to start with my favourite right now, and probably an all-timer for me, Quicksilver Storm. This is an auto rifle crossed with a grenade launcher that, as you fire the weapon, it also fires off grenade damage. As these grenades get fired, secondary grenades fill up in the chamber, which then allows you to turn the assault rifle into a grenade launcher and fire off 3 grenade pellets before switching back to the assault rifle. On top of that, its catalyst makes it a strand weapon, and getting kills with a grenade launcher creates tangles, which make a strand build limitless potential. It is so fun. Another, like I've already mentioned, is the Forerunner, the Halo Combat Evolved pistol, which just does insane precision damage in a short amount of time, but also, like, it's the Combat Evolved pistol in Destiny 2. What more could you want? It's so good for taking out mini bosses. You've got Lorentz Driver, which I don't actually use often. The team just have so much fun when crafting these. Here, have a listen. I've said my piece on Thorn, it's what got me into the game. You've also got Ace of Spades, which was Cade 6's hand cannon before we lost him, and me, as a Repper Hunter, of course this one is special. But it's also way more viable in PvE now, thanks to some hand cannon buffs. And it kills gives you Memento Mori, that creates 6 powerful bullets in the chamber that do more damage, and precision kills generate an exploding effect to others around. That's just a few. Like I said, there's so many that I haven't even mentioned that I really love. Sunshot, The Last Word, Galahorn, Aegis Scepter, No Time to Explain, and so many more. Destiny 2 exotics not only have their own story for why they exist, but their own story for when you use them. The activities you ran, the timeline you used them with, the build you used them in, they mark a particular chapter of your Destiny 2 journey. They're a huge reason why so many became invested in Destiny's universe and why they still choose to continue to do so. Their visual direction is so striking and their gameplay is so gratifying. Destiny 2 is never quite perfect, but its exotics, well, its exotics are as close to the term perfection that you could ever want, and that is why everyone looks at Destiny 2 as the pinnacle of the looter shooter. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button. 1 like equals 1 exotic engram. Let me know down in the comments below what your favourite Destiny 2 exotic is. If you're looking for more Destiny 2 content, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Have a terrific day, and I'll catch you in the next one.